What happens blood sugar-wise when you fast for 24 hours? Does your blood sugar go up, go down, stay the same? If you drink coffee while you fast, will that affect your blood sugar? And what good does a fast really do for you? In this video, you can come with me on my day of fasting and hopefully get a little better understanding about blood sugar, fasting, and diabetes. Well, good morning and welcome to my day of fasting. When I say a day of fasting, I plan to fast all day until 9:30 p.m. and then I will have a meal. And we're going to watch my blood sugar, what it does throughout the day. I woke up around 6:45, immediately tested my blood sugar. It was at 105, which is a bit too high. I don't like it above 100 in the morning, but I pretty much know why it was that high. I ate too much and too late last night. Now, what I ate was pretty much low carb, so it's not like I ate a big high carb dinner, but I ate late. I think I started around 8:30, 8:45 p.m., and I was probably eating till about 9, and so that's late. And then secondly, I ate a lot. I hadn't eaten in a while since my lunchtime, and so I was just hungry. And I ate a lot of food, even though it was low carb. Still, those carbs will add up, even so. So 105, not too great. Typically, when I do a fast like this all day, the blood sugar numbers slowly drop. So we're going to watch that. We're going to test and see what coffee does. Now, I'm not going to have bulletproof coffee, but I will have coffee twice today. Once in the morning, about 9 o'clock, 9:15, and then I'll probably have it maybe around 7 or so. So we'll see what happens and kind of test my blood sugar throughout the day and watch what happens. We'll be watching for a dawn effect also. A lot of people, when they wake up, if they don't eat anything, they'll have higher blood sugar at 9 than they had at 6:30 or whenever they woke up. So for right now, I'm in my bedroom and I'm about to start reading the Bible. That's what I do in the mornings. Generally, before I do too much else, I have checked my email and done a few things on the computer, but right now I'm sitting in my rocker and going to be reading scripture for a little while, and then we'll get back, like I say, around 9 or so and see what happened to my blood sugar. All I will have done will be to drink some water. I had some water shortly after I got up. I'll have my coffee and we'll stay in touch throughout the day. Well, it is after 9 o'clock in the morning and I haven't had anything to eat. I've had a little water. I'm about to have some coffee, but wanted to test my blood sugar. When I woke up around 6:40, 6:43, I think it was, my blood sugar was at 105. What will happen? The dawn effect often can make blood sugar rise even though you haven't eaten a thing, and that's kind of maddening. It's crazy, but there are reasons why that happens. Nevertheless, let's see what happens with me. So 111, we did get some dawn effect here going on, a little bit anyway. And that is high considering I haven't eaten anything since about 9 o'clock last evening. Typically, as I go through the day, it will go down. We're going to watch and see just how far it goes down. And also, I'm going to test after some coffee, about 30 minutes after I drink my coffee to see. Right now, it's at 111. I'm going to have some coffee, watch the Today Show, and then about 30 minutes I'll test it and we'll find out if that coffee brings it down a little bit. So be back in a while. Okay, it's been an hour since I had my coffee. Before the coffee was at 111. 30 minutes later it went down to 107. And just now, an hour later, it was at 105. So I'm kind of back where I started at the beginning of the morning. Started at 105 when I woke up. Now here it is after getting on close to 11, and it is 105 once again. So the coffee didn't have a lot of effect, might have dropped it down a little, but I doubt it had much effect at all one way or the other. Didn't raise it, so I'm glad about that. Now let's talk about the coffee I had. The coffee I had was black coffee. A lot of times when I'm just skipping a breakfast, I'll have the butter coffee, or as people call it, bulletproof coffee. But because this is a spiritual fasting day and not just a health fasting day, I just drank black coffee. Now, you may say, what is a spiritual fasting day? Well, spiritually, when I'm fasting a long period like today, I'm not just going to do it for my health. I want to draw near to God. And so I will read the Bible more than I normally do. I will pray more than I normally do. I don't want to just use this for my health. To me, that's a little bit wasteful. So I want to combine it with seeking God and seeking the Lord. So one of the things I love to do is read in the Gospels on days like this. But so far, not much is happening. Started at 1:05 at the beginning of the morning. Now I'm back to 1:05. Here it is close to 11 a.m. You may say, well, it doesn't seem like your fasting is doing you much good. Well, it is, but one thing we have to realize is that fasting is not some immediate magic bullet that in a moment, suddenly, all your problems are over and you may have blood sugar of 300 before, but now you fasted for 24 hours and now it's down to, 88. It doesn't quite work that fast. So don't expect super fast results, but consistent fasting is going to bring results. I'm convinced, and there's a lot of evidence to that. So I'm doing fine. My pancreas is having a day off. My metabolic system is taking it easy. My insulin levels are dropping. That's one thing that I'm not measuring. I don't have the means to measure insulin levels, but you can be sure they are lower now than they would have been yesterday morning at this time when I had a breakfast. So we'll continue to report throughout the day and see what happens to those blood sugar numbers. Normally they will start dropping, usually by mid-afternoon, and by the evening they will have dropped somewhat significantly. I'm guessing they'll probably drop down into the 90s somewhere. Sometimes they've even dropped into the 80s on fasting days like this. So we'll see. Be back with you later on in probably the mid-afternoon, and we'll see where it goes. I'll keep testing and keep reporting. Well, it is around 3 p.m. and it's been around 18 hours, I guess, since I last had my last meal. I've had 1 cup of black coffee since then, and I've drunk some water. And I do believe in drinking water while you fast. I think that's a very good thing. You may ask, how do you feel? Well, I feel like I'm fasting. Some people, I think, push it a little too hard and are not quite so believable when they say things like, oh, when I fast, I feel so full of energy and so full of life, and I just feel so great. And, well, I don't feel that great. I feel like I'm fasting. I know that something's not quite normal, and I would feel better if I went and had some eggs and bacon, but I don't feel bad because I expect to feel this way. This was a planned fast day. If I'm an hour late on a meal, sometimes I feel very hungry because I was expecting to eat an hour ago. But today I knew I wasn't going to be eating, so I wasn't expecting to feel full today, and I don't. You notice I'm wearing a sweater, and you tend to get a little bit cool. At least I do. I can't say that for everybody, but I tend to get a little cool, cooler than normal when I fast. My body doesn't seem to produce the heat it normally does, and I don't have quite the energy. I mean, let's just be honest. Fasting is not exactly fun, but it does become manageable when you do it regularly. Well, what about the results? The last time I talked to you, I was at 105. I just tested my blood sugar, and I was at 94. So it's definitely dropping. Will that happen to everybody? I don't know, honestly. I think some people, it doesn't necessarily drop too much during a fast, but for me it usually does. It may even make it into the 80s before the day is out. We've still got some hours to go. So I'm doing pretty well. I've been fairly busy, although I did get tired and took a little nap earlier. But I've also recorded a devotional and done audio editing. I had to edit out all those mistakes like I always do, whether it's audio editing or video editing. There's always a lot of mistakes to be taken out. You think I'm a little bit awkward now. You should see me before I fix the mistakes. But at any rate, I'm feeling good and having a good time with this and with the Lord. So, 94, looking pretty good. Let's hope it gets down a little bit lower before the day is out. And I'll report back later, not sure when, probably maybe 6:30 or 7 this evening. And then we'll get to my meal, which I will eat around 9:30 p.m. Well, it's near 7:30, and I just tested my blood sugar. Last time we talked, it was at 94. This time it was at 90, so it continues to drop little by little throughout the day. From a high of 111 when I was getting a little bit of dawn effect, down to 90 right now. I'll test it one more time right before I eat. I'm going to be enjoying my meal in about 2 hours, and you'll have to wait, and I'll let you know a good meal to have when you break a fast like this. All is good, and it's been a good day for me. This is a time that I especially enjoy when I do these longer fasting days. I put on some praise and worship music. I've got my second cup of black coffee, and I'm just going to relax, listen to the music, and talk to the Lord. A good way to finish my day of fasting, and we're going to get back with you in a little bit, around 9:30. Normally, Benedict would have my meal ready promptly at 9:30, but Benedict is not here. She's in Uganda preparing for a mission. I'll be going over there and joining her in a few weeks, so I'll have to go down there at 9:30 and make my own meal, and I'll be back in a couple hours. Well, my fasting day is complete. It is around 9:45 right now. I just tested my blood sugar and was kind of hoping I'd get into the 80s, and lo and behold, I did. It was 84, believe it or not. And I just don't see those 80s numbers very often. But as you noticed, if you've been following the video all day long from that high of 111, it just kept going down a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. It might have been interesting to have tested myself every hour, but I just didn't want to stick myself that many times, and I didn't want to go through that much effort. I had other things to do today besides just constantly stick myself. But nevertheless, we have demonstrated that you definitely get a reduction, or at least I do. I can't say that it'll work that way for everybody. And I know I've had people contact me and say, you know, I've had blood sugar in the 300s, and I fasted for 24 hours, and it's still right there. Well, it doesn't always work the same for everybody, and a lot of times when you start new in the business of fasting, you won't see dramatic results immediately. You know, you can't turn a major ocean liner around in 2 minutes. It takes a while, but once you start turning the steering wheel or whatever they use, eventually it'll get turned around. So it's a good thing to do. We're going to talk some more about it, but I have a meal to make right now. It would have been nice had I heard my sweetie, my Benedicta's voice coming to me and saying, your dinner is ready, like she often does, but not this time. I couldn't hear her all the way across the ocean where she's in Uganda, so I have to make my own dinner. What am I going to make? Well, I've been giving my pancreas a day off all today. It would be just wrong. It would just be wrong to work it very hard at the end and just kind of celebrate by overloading myself with carbs. So I'm going to continue to take it very easy. I'm going to have a meal, but it's not going to be very hard in terms of my pancreas. It's going to make it real easy for my pancreas, and I'm going to have an omelet, 3 eggs, and I'll get full. But it's not going to be a difficult meal for my pancreas to handle. So I will come back tomorrow morning and give you a few concluding thoughts about this whole fasting day. For right now, I've got an omelet to make. My day of fasting is now history. My history, that is. So what good did it do me? Well, by appearances, nothing has changed. I look the same, feel pretty much the same, talk the way I did before, think the way I always have. My opinions about life and politics haven't changed. Did I do myself any good at all? Well, I'm convinced that I did. Since this video is about my fasting day, I don't have the time to go into all the details, but let me just share 3 basic thoughts as to why fasting is good for most type 2 diabetics. First, during my fasting time, according to one study, autophagy was increased in my body by about 300%. Autophagy has to do with your body's cells essentially eating away all their nasty, old, worn-out, decrepit parts and being refreshed, renewed, and made young again. Too bad we old guys and gals can't do this with our faces and our looks, but we'll have to settle for our innards being renewed. Secondly, as I mentioned throughout the day, I gave my pancreas a day off, a day to be renewed and refreshed. Our bodies were made to have some periods of time off. Nothing and no one ever works efficiently if they have to go at it nonstop 24/7. But this is precisely what all-day snackers and grazers are doing. They eat nonstop and they work their pancreases nonstop. And third, even though I didn't measure it and you can't tell it in the mirror, my insulin levels were dropping throughout the day. According to many experts, including Dr. Jason Fung, the greatest cause of insulin resistance is simply the presence of high levels of insulin in your bloodstream day after day after day. Taking some time to reverse that through fasting can help reverse the process. And when your insulin levels are low and your body has no carbs to burn for fuel, it starts burning sugar and fat, and what's especially good news, it does it not only in the body but in the liver. Fatty liver is considered by many to be the premier indicator and guarantee of insulin resistance and type 2 diabetes. And nothing burns the fat out of your liver, as well as out of your fatty pancreas, more than fasting. No, it won't happen with a single fast, but if you start doing some consistent fasting, you'll do yourself a world of good in getting your glucose levels under control. Dr. Jason Fung writes this: "At its very core, type 2 diabetes is simply too much sugar in the body. Thus, reversal depends upon two things. 1, stop putting sugar in, and 2, burn remaining sugar off. A low-carb, healthy-fat diet reduces the incoming glucose load, but it does little to burn it off. Intermittent fasting, though, can help simultaneously with both facets of diabetes reversal. Quite simply, it is the most powerful natural therapy available for type 2 diabetics." When some of you hear me say that I always try to keep my blood sugar spikes from various meals below 140, you get depressed because your fasting blood sugar may be at 200 or more. And you're saying to yourself, how can I possibly keep my spikes below 140 when I register at 195 when I first wake up in the morning? The answer is a low-carb, high-fat diet and fasting. Here's some good news. Your fasting blood sugar is not written in stone like the 10 Commandments. Fasting blood sugar is one of the easiest things to change. But it is a follower and not a leader. So you are going to have to lead the way by slashing the carbs in your diet and doing some intermittent fasting. It won't happen in a couple of days, but in time you'll have the joy of watching your fasting blood sugar coming down, down, down. And once you get it down close to 100 or so, then you can set a target of 140 or 150 or whatever you like as a limit for your blood sugar spikes. Well, is there anyone who shouldn't fast? Fasting is a pretty severe practice, especially longer fasts, so you do need to check with your doctor. Type 1 diabetics who must take insulin need to be especially careful because you could easily end up getting a hypo and having your blood sugar going dangerously low. And that's also true for type 2 diabetics who take insulin or powerful blood sugar-lowering drugs. So by all means, get your doctor's permission. But if he or she says it's okay for you, consider what type of fasting you want to implement, and then go for it. One other thing I need to say is that not everyone is going to see a blood sugar drop throughout the day the way it happened for me yesterday. If you have a lot of fat and sugar in your liver, during your fast, your liver may be dumping out a lot of that sugar, and as a result, your blood sugar may not go down much or could even increase a bit. The fact that my glucose levels kept going down, along with the fact that I take no diabetes medication, appears to indicate I don't seem to have too much problem with fatty liver, but that's just my guess. I've never actually taken a good look at my liver, and I'm not sure I'd want to. Okay, enough said. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. Enough likes and YouTube will make sure and promote it in their suggested videos, and more people will be able to see it. And consider subscribing to this channel and then click on that little bell icon so you'll be notified every time we post a new video. God bless, and see you again soon.